Hello everybody! I hope you guys are doing pretty well. Well, today we're gonna continue with our project, the MiniMandala project, and today we have MiniMandala number 16. This is the one that we're gonna be working on today. Last week, let me see, it's gonna be recorded here. Last week we worked on MiniMandala 15. For those that are not familiar with this project, this is our beautiful project. We're gonna add at the end of the video, the classes, we have to work 18 MiniMandalas. At the end of the project, we will finalize by applying some resin on top so it looks like this one. Let me show you. So it looks like this one. Can you see? And of course, this class is gonna be in English. You can find MiniMandala 1 to MiniMandala 14 on my YouTube channel. MiniMandala 15 is in here on Instagram on the video section. And then we're gonna paint today MiniMandala 16. Many people have asked, especially people who are beginning working with mandalas. There's a tendency, for some reason, to have mini mandalas or mandalas, and then we paint the background in black. Normally, you will see that most of the mandalas are painted, but that's not a rule. You can break that rule. When it comes to creativity, then I'm gonna show you, for example, this one. This is like a wine color. And many people get to ask, like, do I have always to paint a black background? Well, today, the mini mandala that we're gonna be working on today is gonna be this color. And if you can see, the background isn't black. See? Although you could switch the colors. For example, we could do black and do the swooshes that are black here with the color of the background. It's totally up to you. When it comes to creativity, I believe there's no rules. Let me see something. Oh, I wrote everything, but I think I'm still missing something. The first thing that we're gonna do in this class, I wanna show you how to create this background color. And then we're gonna start painting the mandala. Doña Luz, disculpe que la moleste, ¿le puedo pedir un pincel de los grandes? De los que están limpios. Doña Luz, disculpe que la moleste, ¿le puedo pedir un pincel? Sorry, I forgot my un pincel. Gracias. Sorry, I forgot my brushes. Okay, so I have a little trick when it comes to color making. Let me show you. I'm gonna just set the camera here. Just 1 second. When it comes to color and when I want to discover how to create a specific color, just 1 second. I need just to fix something here. Let me fix my setting. Just 1 second. When it comes to thinking about how, sorry. Puede ser este. Gracias. When it comes to, for me to think about how to create a color, I like thinking, for example, we're gonna be creating this color. I like thinking about primary colors. Does it look like yellow, blue, or red or magenta, right? To me, it's closer to blue in this case, but it's not entirely blue. See, it's like a light color, and I also like always considering, it is important that we do consider black and that we consider, black, and that we consider white. So I would I would start with white, then I have to make some assumptions here. It looks like a white, maybe, I'm here using some folk art. And also Liquitex, this is another brand that I like a lot. If I can check always in my pins, which is the closest color that I have. And let's suppose this is, of course, like it's not a color that is a primary color. It's secondary, maybe a third color, but it's definitely closer to this one. Maybe a little bit of white with this and a little bit of, because it's grayish. See, it's not entirely like aqua green, see? So it is important that you always think about these colors. We're gonna prepare just a little. And we're gonna try to reach that color. This color, just a little. And then we could try maybe just a little bit of black to make it look like a very light gray color. I actually think I made a lot, but so it can go to gray. And then I could add, if you don't have aqua, there's always a chance that you can use some green and some blue. See. Let's see. And what matters here is that you keep trying making mixes of the colors. So this is pretty similar, I think, to our target. Maybe slightly darker, maybe just a little bit, a little bit more of this and a little bit more of black. It's important always that you have close to you your target color. A little bit more of this. I think I got the right color before you put black. And remember that every time that we get to use dark colors, we use just little. See, I think it's a match, or it's pretty close. Maybe just an extra, just a little bit. Let me clean this, just a little bit. Don't add too much of the dark colors because then you cannot reverse that. You will need a lot of paint of the light color to revert. So I think I got the color now. So what I used, of course, I had this color that helped me a lot. But if you don't, I believe you can create this color with some green and some blue. See, you can always get to this tone by that. Okay, we're all set. So now let's start painting. So first thing, the good thing is that we don't need much time for it to dry. So I take this MiniMandala I had painted on black color. But what I'm going to do is to cover with a new color. I am using these mini discs that they have 5 centimeters of diameter and 2 inches for people with different metric system. And the funny thing is that I was talking right now with one of my dear students, Sharon, and she's in the US, and she just showed that she's painting not these designs, but something from her own inspiration in what it looks like part of the trunk of a tree. and they look just amazing. So sometimes in some countries it's not that easy to find these surfaces. I was maybe thinking that if you could get one of these trunks that are even being used as ornaments for Christmas, or if you could maybe I was thinking if you manage to get a tray, you can find this very easily in Amazon. Then instead of getting the 5 centimeter of diameter MDF, you could just draw the circles and paint on top of the tray. Actually, this is something that maybe when we finish this, we could do a project like that. That could be lots of fun. So look, sometimes when you have painted a black surface with a lighter color, you need more than a layer of paint. Okay, and then we do that. We don't need to, in order to paint our mini mandala, we don't need this to be super dry. We can always, the design that we're going to be working on is actually pretty straightforward. But if you like, you can wait for it to dry. Don't think it's gonna be that necessary in this case. So you will see, I'm just gonna put my my palette over here, and we're gonna get to paint. When I see some mandalas, I like thinking about the number of legs, or I like thinking, considering the the number of a specific number, because of course I do work with numerology, and numbers is something really important for me. Also, I work with geometry, and I'm always thinking about numbers. If you look at this mini mandala, you can realize that it's got 4 legs. We have a center dot and we have 4 legs. And also we're using basically 3 colors that, to me, I mean, they look great. So we could do this. I'm just gonna put here a little bit of gold color. This is a Brazilian brand, but you can get beautiful beautiful colors in any brand. Even do I have it here? I think I don't. I don't have it close to me. But Liquitex has a beautiful color. And what I do check always, is the consistency of the paint. For example, I love full card. This is especially for, for mugs and so on. They have the multi-surface version with this sticker. That means that you can paint any surface, mugs, porcelain, anything, glass, and it's not gonna come out. Okay, and then this is not, you can see there is something different here. This one doesn't have this, and it doesn't say multi-surface. This is just premium all-purpose acrylic, but it's not multi-surface. And what we're gonna do next is to work on the consistency of the paint. I love working with oops, made a huge mistake here. Apologies for that. This can happen. I love painting with working the consistency of the paint all the time with medium flows. And in South America, we also use like mix of water and also a mix of white scholar glue that could be helpful. So we're gonna start mixing up this with the skewer. I love painting with all the tools, but I paint with cone, with brushes, but I love painting with skewers. And what I'm gonna do first, I'm not gonna be measuring anything today because I wanna train my eye, and I would like to encourage you to do so. I wanna think of a vertical line, imaginary vertical line. Then I'm gonna load my tool with just a little paint, and I'm gonna think of a mid dot. Then I make just one tiny dot because if I make a mistake, I can always revert. And with the big side of the skewer with black color, I'm gonna make a dot. And how can I make it bigger if my tool isn't that? I have two options. Either I use the back side of a brush and I keep pressuring like this till I get the circle that I want. But if at some point I really am not happy about these dots and I don't think it does what I expect, I can always take a toothpick and I can just design the circle as I want it, and I can make it as big as I want. And if I want texture, I worry first about shape, and if I want more texture, then I keep adding dots. So the part that comes now is something that my students are tired maybe of hearing me about this, but it's for those who haven't heard, this is a very useful tip. There are some designs in which we use even numbers, but we're using in this occasion a pair number. And sometimes you do depend on, let me show you here my idea. You do depend on some amount of dots here for some arts, but in here you will see a center, and then you see some elements that do not depend on how many dots I have around the center dot. And having said that, we could either surround these big dots with as many dots as we want, or we can count. But regardless of what we want to achieve, normally I add like one dot that I consider is the north. I think of an imaginary line here, the south. The west and east, I always make a mistake with those, but to the right and to the left, these tiny dots. See, and then you have a look if you think they are aligned. Maybe this one could have gone a little bit like this, and then we place just a dot here in the middle, then another here in the middle, and you think about an imaginary line to place a dot here and an imaginary line to place a dot here. And of course then you check, are they same size? They're not, so you make adjustments. If you are a perfectionist, of course, you're checking distances, you're checking same size, you're looking for texture. In this occasion, I think for this type of design, I think I can still have one dot here in the middle. You could manage to accommodate two, but it could take some effort, and I think some of the spaces are not suitable for two dots. Okay, then you are gonna tell me, Yossi, but you have a space here. I do, but let me show you what I mean to do. I hope the light is good enough. Let me just put the camera a little bit closer here. I think the light might be better now. What I could do before I actually do anything else is that I could create a second line of dots, and then I gotta be careful here because I have to check that they are, see, for example, in here I made a mistake. They are close, but this could mix. What to do next? Then, let me see. Doña Luz, usted me había traído otros pinceles, ¿verdad? What I could do is always take a little bit, have near me some of the background paint, and with another skewer. You could do this with a brush, of course, but I don't have a tiny brush here with me, but everything has a solution. Don't worry if you make a mistake. I think my purpose here is just to help people get confidence in painting, and when you get you become more confident while painting, you become more confident in your life. See, so I'm making bigger dots. You will see that I still have some space, which is fine. I want to make them close to the first row, but not close to the point that they could actually mix up. Take your time. Gracias, Doña Lu. Take your time, okay? And you can also observe that there are some dots that have more distance from one another, and then you keep observing. It doesn't mean that you have to erase the whole thing. Okay, so we're gonna make, there are people also counting the dots. Normally I count them when I am walking them. And I gotta be careful here because the paint is still very fresh. These are let's say some brushes that are angular, and if you do this really careful, then you can decrease the amount of paint, because with the skewer it's a little bit more difficult to manage if you're trying to fix a problem like the one that I just did. See? And you can make this set 2 lines, and then you can either risk to make with this toothpick the tiny dots. I'm gonna show you how to do that. You don't load your tool with lots of paint, and then you get here in the middle and you press the tiny dots. See? If you like, you can always take the metal point, see, or a needle, but sometimes the needle is a little bit difficult. The secret is not to load your tool with lots of paint, just a little. You can control that. You control your hand does not control you. Your body's always gonna do what your brain tells it. So, and you practice, see? And then you add the tiny dots. You don't press too much, and then you manage to make beautiful, tiny, super tiny dots. Just like that, see? These tiny dots. Of course, you could ask me, Yossi, when should I do this? What is the ideal moment to do that? Right after I do the first, or do I do the black small? It's up to you. I mean, there's no rules for the order. I think you can try different ways to work on this till you get, let's say, comfortable. I'm gonna have a difficulty here to set the dot because the back paint, the background is still wet. But see, I think that these pointy parts of the compass are really better, I would say. Are really better to paint with than a needle. With a needle, sometimes it is truly difficult to load, to pick some paint up. And now, what are we going to do? We're going to work. Normally, when you see a mandala, there's a lot of information. Its color, its shape. My idea always is when I see something that I like, I break it into pieces. So again, I told you that we're working on number 4. I'm gonna make a dot here, and more or less I calculate how far it is away from the border, and I'm gonna repeat the same here because I'm working number 4. Number 4 works on the material side of our lives. So I gotta think of this imaginary line here that connects these dots. And then if it is for me easier to work on a vertical line than horizontal, I do the same. See. So I have number 4. Now I have to think of my destination. I'm gonna end this in here, so I drag the paint very carefully. At the first moment, I am just thinking of shape, okay? I'm not thinking of texture. If you want this puffy or fatter or something, then we first worry about the pattern, the distances, and then we do the texture. I think these dots, for example, I'm not sure it is fully aligned. I think it is more towards the right. What I do, this happens. You can just put it away with your paint. Okay, and we do it again. No problem, because we're gonna be covering all these with paint, so it's not gonna be noticeable. And with sushis, normally I don't like pressuring against the surface, so you get to drag the paint. See, we do this. And then I'm gonna think better where to put my dots and at what distance from the border. And then I think of my arrival, and I have to think like, okay, this one is fatter here and it gets, or if I make my swoosh really thin, then I have to be consistent. I cannot, there's no rules, but there are some things that we need to keep consistent. For example, in this one, I think the border was too thick. So we can always fix this up. We can either wait for it to dry and just fix it, or we can just leave it as it is because the mandala wanted it to be like that. And in here again, I think about the destination point. Then I can make an adjustment here. You can notice my base has like a hole here because this one was supposed to be a base for a color, but I'm not using it for that purpose. Then once you have the shape you want, then you add more paint. You add more paint, and then you can drag the paint without, my goodness, I think my skewers are alive. You can drag the paint, see, to have more texture. You can even wait for it to dry and keep adding many other layers if you want. See? And this one is the one that you can have like an outliner brush. See? If you press too much against the surface, then you get that channel that is not very nice. And then swooshes, they could be at the same height of the main swoosh, let's say, or they can go below. And then they not necessarily have to go, let's say, to the end. You could end them. You could do this. You follow this curve, this shape, but you can do or finish them earlier. See, you don't have to go all the way down. You can just do this, depending on, of course, your taste. But for a change, let's end them here. And then you think about the same height, and we do a dot here, we do a dot here. It's important that they are aligned and at more or less at the same distance from the main swoosh. And then we take it down a little bit, just like this. And same thing here. And then once again, we do this here 4 times. And this pattern repetition is the thing that calms us down, make us breathe. I always think of an intention of mandalas before I start working with them, but I actually don't have a specific intention for this one. And it's fine, okay? It's totally and absolutely fine. Maybe I just wanted to have fun, to enjoy this painting process. See? And then, yeah. We can manage always if we put our toothpick up and we just drag the paint, you know, very easily, it will go, it will be like thinner here by the tail. Okay, now what should we do? I was thinking maybe of, seeing the original that I created first. I was thinking maybe of making here in between 4 black dots. It's funny because now that I am looking at it, I don't play cards or whatsoever, but it's starting to look like cards. Okay, now we're gonna start painting with gold in a little bit. This is like the first layer. And then, of course, the original designs had some swirls here. So I gotta think, because the space is really tiny, maybe I make like this distance and then I start creating like a tiny swirl from here to here and from here to here, right? And this could connect if I loaded my toothpick with lots of paint here, down here and down here, I could truly connect these with this swirl. But this, yeah, requires certain, domination, I would say, of your motor skills, but I think it's important that we practice. So again, what I did was to imagine, I would like to imagine like, imagine that this was a square, but we're only going to do these two. And then from here, I take it from here to the outer part and I make a tiny curve like that. Like this, and I go down here. And from here, I also take it to the outer part. And then I load my paint, my tool with lots of paint. I make 2 dots. And of course, I gotta see that these are more or less at the same height. See? That they are more or less same size. And then you keep having a look. I think maybe this one went a little bit too close to this compared to this one, but these are things that we can always adjust. And again, I'm more worried here about, if you worried about all the variables at once, it's difficult to manage. You cannot think of texture. First distances, then we check the if we want it fat, want them fatter or not. So in here we can make a dot that is gonna connect here, and we are gonna go down. We can make it more curvy or flatter. Here we connect here, and then we load our tool with more paint. See, these are like Mickey Mouse ears. See, yeah. I think today maybe we're gonna do the first layer because we actually need for it to dry before we could actually go and paint the dots on top. See, but it's pretty much the same 4 times. And remember that all the patterns that I show here, for example, if you have a huge mandala or a stone mandala, you can always repeat these patterns more than 4 times, as I am showing you here. This, everything that we do here is just one element that could be part of a bigger mandala. So now I'm gonna clean my tool, and then I'm gonna make on top of this like a big gold dot. Normally, if you're designing a pattern and you see, this is a space that would normally invite you to have something beautiful on top. See. Let's think about something we could do without adding dots here because this part is wet. With gold, we could add like a tiny and drag and do like some sort of swoosh, just like that. This is the 1-stroke way. You don't take your tool away. And actually we could take it from here and drag it a little bit further on top of these dots. So we start here, like in the middle of this swoosh and swirl. Don't touch the surface, just drag the paint towards here, and same thing in here. And it's good to observe if it is the same for you to drag the paint from the left to the right, then from the right to the left. Is it the same for you? Just something to consider so you get to know you better. See. The secret is just to let the paint touch the surface, but you don't touch the surface with a pointy part. And then what you could do is to make another dot here and to make it like Arabian Nights. Here you place the dot and like the tip of a house, I would say. I'm trying to move as forward as possible today. There are some designs that will require maybe one part of one live session and another part in another session. For example, last week I was rushing with all the design and I didn't get it right because I really needed the paint to dry first. Let's see if this is the case, and maybe next week we can just, do. Okay, what else can we do while this all dries up? We could have like 1, 2, 3, 4. We walk the dots. 4 to the right and 4 dots to the left. And since we're working number 4, then it makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Just to have something in the border. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. What I sense is that this paint, this black paint, maybe I added too much medium. It's a little bit liquid, which is great for the swooshes, but also plays against us in terms of distance, because if you place your dots way too close, then it's gonna become a nightmare because your dots will start getting together. So see, this is not fully dry, but I'm gonna risk it. Just the idea would be really to let it dry, but let's risk it a little. And then I'm gonna place another dot here, another one here, another one here, and a 4th here. What else could I do? I could make maybe a big dot here, a swoosh with a dot on top. Okay, I'm totally risking it. It's not sometimes a good idea to do this. It is really nice to try things drying out the elements that we paint before we actually place a layer on top. And I am definitely not working with a lot of texture here. I could do just a tiny dot here. See, I'm using the back side of my skewer and I managed to do small dots. Why is that? Because of the pressure that I do against the surface. If you can control that, you control everything. And then, last but not least, we could add like a black dot. When your dots are wet, if you want to place a dot, even if they're wet, it's important that you really let the drop of paint fall. See, don't put too much pressure, just and there we go. I think we're all set. This is a pattern that I like a lot. I like very much. I think I like it better than this one. You will see that even if I did the same pattern, maybe some things are a little bit different. For example, these are smaller because I did these swooshes bigger and wider. These are narrower. To the point that these are narrower to the point that I managed to make some tiny dots here that I might not be able to do here unless I see. If I load my tool with just super little paint, then I can manage to place these small dots, but they're gonna be really, really small, see? It's a matter of trying to manage, of course, and seeing. For example, there are people who like having some empty spaces. There are other people who really don't enjoy having such an empty space. But my advice would be, if you are not gonna paint the background in black, it's good to have some empty spaces so people can enjoy the contrast between the black and the background. You could try doing this the opposite. For example, painting it with regular black, the basic black, and doing the swooshes and everything with the background color. So you have like a positive and negative as a picture. So time for a picture. I hope you have enjoyed this. Now I'm gonna set the camera to me. Let me see. Instagram is currently working on a more, let me see, just 1 second, on a more simpler version of lives sessions. This is our mini mandala, see? Now mini mandala number 16. If you wanna take a picture now, let me move myself out of the way. And I can't see who's connected. I cannot say hi, but if you have questions, you can press the question mark and then you can write to me so I can see. So no questions, so far so good. See you all next week for mini mandala number 17. And then for the resin application, I hope you have enjoyed this class. Love you guys. Bye.